thank you for listening. Today's episode, we have a very special guest, and we will be sharing our experiences on death or on loss that we have experienced. And I have a very special guest who's going to introduce themselves. So without any further ado, please introduce yourself.
I am Siya Motha.
Thank you, Siya. And who is Siya? Tell us more about yourself.
I am a father to a very hyperactive young lady.
Yes.
I am a husband to a very beautiful woman.
Aww.
We're expecting our second child. So ultimately, I'm a family man. God gave me this family, so I thank him and I trust in him.
Yeah.
So I'm a God-fearing man. I am employed by a bank.
Mm-hmm.
I've only worked for a bank my whole life. I would like to believe that I'm an athlete. Deep inside, within.
It's coming.
It's there. Yeah, it's okay. So I'd like to believe I'm an active young man. But yeah. Okay, let's see. Yeah.
Nice to know you. So today, I'm Kudzai, the host, and we are, like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about a topic that not many people want to dive into, that not many people enjoy talking about, especially considering we're Black, and in the Black community, we don't usually talk about this. So we're talking about loss, like I mentioned, and I think just to dive into it, I experienced loss at the young age of 8, and I lost my mom. And at the age of 8, you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
And there's so many things I faced and so many things I'm still facing because of that one life event. And as the years went on, I also kept losing people. And I think the recent one is losing my brother in December. So I just want you to please share your experience with loss. What do you consider you just lost?
So I think my experience with loss came at a very late stage in my life. I think for a long time in my life, I didn't actually identify with loss.
Okay.
So I think right up until 2013, I was born in 1987, so right up until 2013, I'm 26, when I really understood loss for the first time. I had attended funerals, I had sort of supported friends. I'd gotten used to scriptures. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, sending stuff out to people, encouraging people. May God comfort you. In the Black culture, we've got sayings like, you just catch on to stuff. My condolences.
Yes.
And for a long time, I was part of that jargon, death, until my mom passed away.
Ouch.
And it was like, What is this now?
Everything you're saying to me doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I think what was confusing for me, and I know this may come across as very immature, but it was like, where is she?
Yeah.
Where? I could not understand it. I could not grasp the concept. Where is this person? I was born in the church.
Yes.
My father ran a church. I understand that there's afterlife. I understand that there's eternal life and we go to a better place. But I just could not understand how I spoke to this person the other day and I cannot access them. I cannot find them. I think what also freaked me out at the time was her number. I think my sister took my mother's number. And just seeing it, when she used it and I saw a call from that, I was like, hey, what now? What happens now?
Is this it?
What? Is she back? What? Yeah. And I think so at 26 it hit me and it was real. All of a sudden death was this real thing and it got me into the state of panic.
Yes.
Who's next?
Yes.
Who's next?
And you also enter a place where you're always expecting bad news. So you lost your mom at 26. I lost mine at 8. And I remember I think a week before I had gone to the hospital to visit her. And she was like, I'm coming back. I'm going to buy you toys. And you're a child. So it's different from when you're actually like older. Because when you're older, you actually comprehend what's going on. This is what's going to happen. So my thing is, at the age of 8, you look at your mom and you're like, this is my superstar. Like, even now, when I look at my dad and my mom now, I'm also like, these are superstars. According to me, nothing's supposed to happen to them because they've got everything under lockdown.
Yeah.
And as a child, you're raised with these people that you look up to, and you don't, never in your wildest dreams, you think that your mom will wake up one day and she would have lost her fight to something, if it's a sickness or whatever happens to her. So my question is, I guess, do you think, having lost her at the age of 26, do you think it helped you in your understanding of the events better than let's say a person like me would have lost her mom at the age of 8?
I don't think so. In all honesty, I don't think so, because I think that from your end, you might see me as having been in a better position, and I see you as having been in a better position because I'm thinking you were a child, you hadn't connected with this person, as you hadn't had enough time with them. On my end, I figure I lived with this person for so much longer. We experienced so much more, and so I think it's relative to you and what you felt. I mean,
basically, there's no better loss.
No,
despite your age.
And you speak about the fact that you had waited for toys and whatever. With me, it was, on the other hand, at a very early age, I had to support my family. So when I left matric, sort of things fell apart with the family financially, and I found myself having to do a lot of piece jobs to balance out, because I was on an NSFAS bursary, and obviously they don't pay for your food and stuff. So I had to find myself doing jobs and to support my family. In 2013, I eventually found a job that I could be proud of, that I felt would now, that was my first leadership job. I became a team leader in 2013. I started the job on Monday. On Tuesday, my mom went into hospital, and on Friday, she passed away. And I think the experience for me was, now that I'm in a position to finally support you properly, not with little 20 rand here and 30 rand here, now I can actually support you, you go.
Why didn't you stick around longer?
Do you know what I mean? And why didn't you stick around to you were around when I was picking up papers at events, when I was, I did this one job where I stood inside a bathroom to spray people after they had done whatever they did. You were there when I was doing all those funny jobs.
Now I get a real job and you decide to leave me.
You know what I mean? Now I'm a leader at a big corporate company in South Africa, and I'm in a position to do a bit more for you. And you go, And I think what was even more painful for me is when I saw, after she passed on, I got a chance to see how she lived just before she passed on. So I got access to her banking account. I've got access to the house to see, because I didn't live with her at the time. And it just pained me even more when I saw that she just needed me so much. I think I remember she had about 171 rand in her account to live off, and stuff like that got me emotional, to say, come back. I've got some money now.
Make it better now.
I'm like 2,000 come back. So I think it's relative to it's not no one death is tougher than the other. So.
And then you speak about being emotional, and you're a man.
Yes.
Did you cry?
Sure. So I remember when I got the news on Tuesday. So Monday I started the job. Monday night is when it all transpired that she's just fallen over. She's collapsed. Now my mom she likes hype. So everything with my mom was massive. It was big. Big deal. So when I got the call to say my mom is collapsed and she's not, I was like, I don't have time for that one. I know how she is. I know she's an actor, that one. And so I didn't take it seriously. And eventually, my little sister that lived with my mom said, hey, Siya Motha, this person can't actually talk. Because I said, put mama on the phone, man, so I can tell her to stop this rubbish, And she said, this person can't actually talk. So we spent the night taking her to hospital. But I still thought, man, this is fine. Yeah. It's hospital. I've been to hospitals before. Now remember my context. I've never had a death. I don't understand death. And so we took her into the hospital, and then I went back to work. So my thing about, and I think we'll share a bit on it later, is that I've never wanted events like death in my life to be massive setbacks. Okay. So with me, I just want to keep going. Okay. And so as soon as she was in hospital, I went back to work. I reported in for work in the morning, and so there I am at work, and my brother calls me and says to me, they want to take umama off life support. Now, I'm trying to, that's such a loaded statement.
Especially considering you weren't taking it seriously. You thought it's one of those things.
Exactly. It's such a loaded statement because I'm thinking, why life support? Isn't life support for, you're at the very end. You need your life to be supported. So why life support? While I'm still grasping why life support, I'm trying to grasp, they want to take her off it because they say, so my brother explained that they want to take her off it because they feel it's a waste. They should actually be using for somebody that has a chance. Wow. Now, all at once, I'm trying to, and at that moment, I remember I was at work. At that moment, I burst into tears. I immediately went to my manager and I said, boss, I don't know what's going on. And I couldn't even talk. Yeah. I was, that cry.
When you like you've got something on your throat.
Exactly.
Like you said, yeah.
And I was just, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. And I rushed to the hospital. And I told my boss, I gotta go because I am trying to make sense of what my brother just told me. And so I cried. Yes, I did. I cried. I remember when we were at the hospital on Friday and everybody left. So because they had camped at the hospital for the week, and I was at work the whole time, honestly. I only came back after work to see her. On Friday, they eventually wanted to take some time off and go away to the shops and get food and whatever. And I just come back from work, and so I was alone with her. Yeah. Now, I didn't necessarily have the greatest relationship with my mom. Okay. We had our own issues. Yeah. And so I was there on the side of her bed, and I was sort of apologizing and so forth. And as I finished apologizing to my mom, the machines went off.
No.
And I think that in itself contributed to my emotions. Because I had so many questions about it. Yeah. Did I kill her? Should I not have apologized? Did I, some people say you released her, And I immediately called my brother and sister back to the hospital. Say, hey, something is happening. I don't know if this is normal. I haven't been around, so please come back. And within an hour, she passed on. And I sat with that question mark for a while. And I guess that contributed. So I cried. So in answering your question, I cried and I just kept on replaying stuff. Could I have done stuff differently?
What if?
Should I have gone immediately when my sister called me? Should the moment somebody told me that, go check umama, should I have gone? So the tears were tears of loss, but there was also tears of guilt. Yes. To say I could have potentially saved my mom's life. So I definitely cried.
And then over the years, you obviously managed to deal with that guilt and you forgave yourself if there was need to forgive yourself. How did you go about dealing with that? What was the process you undertook? Did you talk to someone?
So we tried. We came. So I attended Rhema at Rhema Bible Church, and at the time we wanted counseling as a family. So we came as a family for one session, and then they broke us into different sessions where I could get counseling on my own. And to be very honest, and I don't know, maybe it's upbringing, maybe it's because I'm black. I don't know what it is. It just didn't work for me. To speak to somebody that doesn't know me, that doesn't know my pain, and to share with them, it just didn't work for me.
Is it am I right in saying there's a lot of textbook answers to say, so tell me how did you feel about that? Maybe you should read the Bible, pray as a family.
Yeah.
So what do you think eventually helped? I know you don't ever get over something, but you get to a point where you're used to the fact, or you accept the fact that someone has left you, and it wasn't your fault.
Yeah.
How did you get that?
So I think what helped me is scripture.
Okay.
And I think the understanding that God knows us and God knows our lives before we are even formed in our mother's wombs, and the fact that come the 20th of July 2013, my mother was going to pass away, 19th of July. That was written. Yeah. If it wasn't her collapsing, it would have been a car accident. If it wasn't a car accident, it would have been corona. If it wasn't corona, it would have been something would have happened on that day. Because and for me to make it all about me, to personalize it, I just understood that it was written. It was part of God's plan, and that's just the form it took.
Yes.
I could have been on time to try save her. As I drove into the house, I might have been the one bumping her with my car. Something would have happened.
Yes.
That's the point. She would not have lived beyond the 19th of July, around 5 o'clock, 2013. She would not have lived beyond that. And it was that acceptance for me to say, let me sort of detach myself from the guilt portion of it.
That is so profound. You talk about acceptance, and so now that you would have accepted then that it was going to happen anyway. I like the fact that you allude to us having to understand that God knows us before we're even formed.
Yeah.
And I usually say these days that for your mom to be here or for my mom to be on earth, you didn't have a say in it.
Yes.
There was no way you went to God and said, "Yo, God, this woman, make her my mother," or "this man, make him my dad."
Yeah.
And I think it's very important as individuals like we who are still here to understand that we don't belong to ourselves.
Yes.
The people we love don't belong to themselves. And most importantly, they don't belong to us.
100%.
So no amount of being there or calling or making sure they have this can save them, and that God takes when he wants his angels back. So
just to add to what you're saying, I think that one of the things that death has made me understand, especially with my father's death, because I think that one for me was the worst thing that has happened in my life easily, and I think I shared with you prior to the session. I'm not over that.
Yeah.
I think that for me is the most confusing.
Yes.
That one doesn't make sense. That one that one I don't have answers to. It's a shock, and to this day I don't. There's certain things that I cannot comprehend around my father's death. But I think what death has made me understand is people come in and out of our lives for particular reasons, and they leave you with something. And I started to compare death, and this is going to sound very weird, but I started to compare death with like an ex, like that ex that came into your life for a year, 6 months. With me, it was 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I couldn't keep long relationships.
But it's a short turnaround.
But that person comes into your life, they either hurt you, which builds some sort of character in you, or they show you things about you that just to make you better.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at death, to say, my father came into my life and were a tool that God used as part of my journey.
Yes.
In the time that they were there, they imparted certain skills, certain beliefs, a certain way of thinking.
Lessons.
They provided finance for my studies. They provided shelter for that period. That's what they were there for.
Yeah.
That is that. 2013, 19th of July, 5 o'clock. Done. She's done. The same way an ex was cut off at a particular point. The same way a job got cut off at a particular point and I moved on to the next job. The same way I moved to Rhema and a particular church was done. It is a tool that God uses to equip you to lay a foundation for other things. And it's even gotten me to view myself the same way. I mean, I always look at my wife and I always tell her to say, I could die. Yeah. I could die. I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. But as long as I'm here, I want God to use me as a tool in your life. I'm gonna push you to study. I'm gonna push you to be more. I'm gonna get life cover. So when I do that, you get money. Yes. I'm gonna, but I wanna. It's a tool, and so I looked at death in that context. So yeah.
Okay, so I'm gaining. You mentioned that you're doing all these things for your wife.
Yes.
To prepare her for your death.
Yes.
That means you've accepted that it's coming.
Yeah.
Like any other person. How then, maybe after losing your mom, and we look back now, and then you also lose your dad.
Yeah.
After losing your mom, were you in that space where it hit you that it was inevitable that even your dad was also going to pass away? Or did you still to a certain extent hold on to that it can't happen to him, or because then you'd think, because I'm trying to understand if it makes it easier or makes it easier to accept when you've experienced it the first time.
Yeah, so let me just start here. Nothing could have prepared me for my father's death. Nothing. No form of nothing. I think I could have lost 100 people.
And it's still
but my dad was it was very different.
Okay.
You know, it was so but let me answer your question. I think after I lost my mom, death became real to me.
Okay.
And I got paranoid.
Yeah. Me too.
And my prayer became, I remember I prayed every morning, and I would not pray this prayer to say, thank you for no bad report.
Yes.
Thank you that I have not gotten a call about somebody dying. Yeah. It became part of every day. I would not omit that part of my prayer.
Yes.
And I think one of the reasons that I got really angry with God, and I'll be honest about it, is I had prayed that prayer for so long and gotten used to Him being faithful around no bad report, that the next bad report was just a shocker. I think I thought, there could have been so many people that could have died. Like take siblings or someone.
Every time.
Come on, take.
Every time someone
people
dies.
from church, there's guys that I'm serving with. Go take somebody else.
Oh, you're asking God to kill us?
Take my boss. Or take someone, you know. But in me saying, because whenever I prayed the prayer around no bad report, it was covering everybody I usually pray for. So when I pray, I cover the people in the different spheres of my life. Yeah. So I'll cover church, I'll cover work, I'll cover obviously family, friends. And so I'd cover all those people. But the one ultimate was my father. There was no bigger death that I could, because it was just a shocker. So as much as I think that my mom's death almost made me realize that death is coming, there could be another death, I could never have been prepared for my father's death.
I guess you never can be, because I lost my brother again. Like, I think I'm also like you. After losing my mom, it was quiet. You know, when you're like, oh God, it's fine. And I think I can also relate to the paranoia that my dad has a heart problem. So every time he got into hospital, I'd be like, is this it? Is this it? Until I actually got to a point where you're saying God is faithful in answering that prayer, that you don't think that anything is going to happen. And then my brother passed away in December. And it's weird. It's a weird place to be in. Like, when you lose, now I'm a grown up. So as a kid, you're like, everyone's just shielding you, and no one wants to tell you that this is what has happened. Yeesh. And I want to ask, when you lost your mom at 26, you did mention that you had already started you were now taking care of people. Yes. How was your family dynamics? How did that work out?
So my mom, love my mom, loved her, but I think she had a lot of unanswered stuff. Okay. She had a lot of conflict with family. She had a lot of conflict with us as a children, conflict with my dad. And, they'd been divorced for a while. Okay. There was so many dynamics that caused her death to be very loud. Okay. Infighting. And so from a family perspective, I found out just on the day that when her body arrived for burial, the day before her funeral, on that day we found out that she's got a different surname. Wow. We're like, Mara, but now what's going on? Who are we burying? Who are we burying? Who is this person? Because we saw the death certificate had my stepfather's surname, but we didn't.
Know.
There was like so many questions. It was like, Mara, who is this person now? All of a sudden, I mean, at the time I was Pule. I know you guys know me as Motha. At the time I was Pule because my mom was Pule, and she gave us the surname, and
it's not even hers.
Now she's jumping. Now she's jumping to another one. So there were so many family dynamics, and I remember the day on that day when I saw that certificate for the first time. I actually got my what I didn't know was my father-in-law now, but my stepdad, not father-in-law, my stepdad at the time is I got him into a room and we actually had a fight about it to say, why would you go change my mother's surname after she died?
Yeah.
Her ID says Pule, everything says Pule. What are you trying to benefit by changing her surname? So it was those kind of things, It was. I mean, there were so many unanswered questions about her death because she didn't collapse. I mean, my mother was a runner.
Yes.
I mean, even at her age, my mom was a runner.
You got it from your mama.
Okay, let's move right on from that.
You did say you were an athlete. I was paying attention.
Okay, look, so I think when my mom's body had to be released from hospital, we were advised that she's got a mark on the back of her head, and they're not comfortable releasing her. They want to do a post-mortem. And so there was just so many questions around it. There was, do we go to court? What happens if we find out that? Then my little sister told us that no, our stepdad was actually with my mom on that day, and they had a fight. Yeah. And there were so many questions. There were so many. So from a family dynamic perspective, there were so many fights. There were so many arguments. But there was so many. It was just madness, to be quite honest with you. It was all over the place. Yeah. It was like literally every hour or two, there was something. There was a brawl. And I'm not talking about an argument. I'm talking about there is touching. People are touching. People are holding each other. There was insults. There was, it just became this thing. And I eventually had to ask my siblings to say, we have to find a way after this thing. Yeah. Because I certainly don't have time to go to court. Yeah. I certainly don't have time to fight this thing. Yeah. And we had to make the decision for our mother's body to get released. We had to make the decision to say we don't care. Yeah. If somebody killed my mom, at this point, it is not going to bring her back. It's not. We do not care. We are moving on. So there was a lot of family dynamics. There was our what we thought were I mean at the time my mom's side of the family, which she had a lot of sort of conflict with. At the time, we thought that, they would be on our side with all the stuff that's happening. But they chose my stepdad's side. Wow. And with all the arguments, I mean, I remember when we had that fight, they barged into the room and they pushed me out of the way. And so there was so many family dynamics. And at the time, it was so awkward because I was living at my grandmother's house, my mom's house, and that's where the family was.
Taking the other side.
And I had to go from that big brawl argument. I'm talking about a brawl here. Yeah. I don't think you understand what I'm saying. I'm not talking about I'm talking about I was held by my own family, pushed by my own family. Do you understand? And that same evening, just before my mother's funeral, we were in the same house. I had to see them. I had to greet them. I had to show them respect. So there was a lot of family dynamics. A lot.
And how are you with them now?
I've again, I think God helps us with this, but I've made up my mind around relationships in this life. Okay. Different relationships, whether it's work-related, church-related, whatever it is that I have to let stuff go. I have to. I mean, just a week or two ago, I was emceeing my cousin's wedding. And that's that side of the family. And I was with everyone and we were laughing and we had a good time. And I made up my mind. I made up my mind that night to forgive that I'm going to go back home. Yes, you guys pushed me. You did what you did. That's fine. Everybody's emotional. Everybody's going through stuff. And that very night, I went back and I showed the respect that I had to. Next morning, I showed them the respect that I had to, and never, from that day onwards, I've had to be very cognizant that I need a relationship. It's family.
Yeah.
Whether we fought, we beat each other up, it's still family. So I think I'd like to believe we've got a very healthy relationship with all of them.
And and how do they? Would you say there's anyone that you lost as a result of that whole family dynamic?
So I was very intentional about that too, not to lose.
Okay.
So I know that after that, I had to go visit people.
Okay.
And for me, it was a matter of, if you think what happened at the funeral, I got you tied up in my heart, I don't.
Yeah.
I want you to know that I'm okay with you. I obviously didn't go into people's houses and say I'm okay with you, but I would drive around and just randomly visit to say, hey, is everything fine? Are you guys okay? You know, are you? And you must understand, with my family, there's a lot of drama and there's a lot of dynamics, and so it's something I continuously have to do. It's something I continuously have to be very clear with everybody else that you guys might fight amongst yourselves. You might fight with my siblings about certain things. You might have arguments. Me as Siyabong, I'm an independent person, and I love you.
Wow.
I am okay with you. Whatever happened, happened. I mean, even as far as my stepdad, with him, afterwards, I had to go to him and say, hey, wait, I don't know what happened.
Sure.
It is not my business.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. You would know. You must live with it. If something bad happened, if there's nothing for you to live with, life goes on. But, Mina, you can call me anytime. You can meet up with me anywhere.
You can count on me.
It's just too heavy for the plans God has for my life, which are massive. I need to be a CEO.
I can't be dwelling on small things.
I can't. I need to grow in my career. I need to make a difference. I need to lead people. I cannot be worried and holding on. I cannot be worried and holding on to you.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
To
but
him.
Then basically, that's the theme.
But that's the theme in my life, is that I just, God has too much for me. Yeah. I need to go be a CEO of an organization, and I'm now still holding on to you. How am I going to go study what you guys have studied, CA and all of that? I need to go study those things, and I still need to think about you. So I had to forgive fully.
That's the major key.
Yes.
And I think I need to learn from you in that regard. Yeah. Forgiveness.
Yeah.
So, what do people say about your dad and your mom now that they're gone? What do you say about your dad?
Hey, my dad. Let me switch over to my dad. I don't think I've spoken enough about my dad.
Yeah, I'm also switching over to your dad. Tell us about your dad.
Yo.
In like a brief summary.
That's a pause then. Yeah. No. That man is yo. He is the ultimate. He is. I have never in my life come across such a human being.
Wow.
He is just he's just the perfect example of how a human should be. A lot of mistakes. But the person that he was, from a very young age, I learned so much from my dad around how to carry yourself.
Yeah.
He was very humorous. Oh, my dad could find a joke in anything. My dad could, and it was those subtle jokes. Like I would know there's a joke coming. I would look at my dad's face and know, oh no, Baba, no. He was so humble.
Oh.
He was so humble. I mean, my dad did really well for himself at some point before my parents divorced.
Yeah.
He had owned businesses. They had a whole lot of things that they owned, and yet he was so humble.
Wow.
He was just. My dad was just. He would be a boss of like different. I mean, at a car dealership, he had a crash. He had a dry cleaner. But when you look at him, you think, this thing.
It's nothing.
His demeanor, everything about him was so humble. He was giving. My dad would give when he had nothing.
Wow.
Even after my dad lost everything. I mean, when my parents divorced, And this is the man my dad was. When my parents divorced, I remember my dad came to boarding school at the time. So I say cheap boy. Yeah. Still had money. So I was at boarding school, at a private school. And, and I remember my dad coming to the office. I mean, not to the office, to the school. And he called us out to speak to us. And he said, I was 12. I remember I was 12 at the time. And he said, I'm not going to see you guys for a while. Me and your mom have decided to separate. And I'm not going to see you guys for a while. Now, I didn't understand a while was going to be 3 to 5 years. So I'm not going to see you for a while. And I later learned what my dad actually did. So my dad drove out that day with his car and his clothes and left everything to my mom.
Wow.
Left everything to us. He did not want a divorce. He did not want to take us through court proceedings. He did not want us to go through arguments, seeing them argue stuff. He did not want to fight for anything. And I later learned that for about 3 years, my dad was a hobo.
Ouch.
This man went from having run businesses to being in the streets. I mean, I remember when I found out that my dad was a hobo, I started taking, my mom would give us 10 rand every day for lunch. And I saved that money. And I remember I eventually had 300 rand. And my brother would see my dad, my older brother would see my dad, and I gave it to my older brother. And I remember my dad would always share that he took that 300 and he started his vegetable business with it. Wow. He actually went and bought ama orange. And then he started selling ama orange with it, and we always come back to that. But that's the man that he was. Yeah. You understand? He didn't care for himself. I remember when he got his vegetable business up, immediately called us. I remember I was around grade 11 at the time. He called us and he said, I'm in a position to help. What can I do for you guys? Yeah. And my dad paid for our fees. My dad bought stuff that we needed. My dad, he just immediately wanted to get involved in any way that he could. To a point where it broke down his business. He started this business, sustained it, and as soon as we came back into his life, it failed. But because that's the man he was, my dad would give when he had nothing. He would still find a way to give. And he would teach me that over, not by saying stuff. You know, people say things. You just look at my dad. And he was a giver. He would give of anything that he had. And yeah, I think...
okay, so no... Speaking the way you do about your dad, you've got kids now.
Yes.
And you obviously want them to say the exact, if not more, about you when you pass away. Tell me about the attitude or the mind shift that happens when you lose a person, and then how that impacts your actions as a person that's still alive. Like, what did you have to start doing, knowing that, because we get constant reminders. When it's far away, we're like, oh yeah, guys, let's make the most of life.
Yes.
Let's love the ones that we have. Let's hold them closer. And then your dad dies, and then you're like, oh my gosh, this is real. So what mind shift happened to you, and what actions did you find yourself, changing because this had happened to you?
So one of the things about my dad, and I don't think it necessarily came after his death, because I think whilst he was alive, this was revealed to me, is that my dad taught me about what I live by today, which my motto, which is above all else, be a good person.
Yeah.
Above all else. We are all going to make mistakes.
Yeah. We
are all going to have setbacks in life. We are all going to say the wrong things from time to time. We are all be a good person. And when my memory of my dad are not all his mistakes.
Yeah.
And when it's all the things that, it's how good a person my dad was. Yeah. I mean, my dad, let me share a couple of things about my dad. Because I share all the good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Good. But so the one time I gave my dad, we was trying to go into business with my friend of mine who leaves, and we gave my dad a Mercedes Benz. We bought a Mercedes Benz, all these old models for 10,000 rand, so he could resell it for us. So 3-4 months later, we didn't know where the car was, and to the day he died, we never established where this car went. The one time I borrowed my dad.
And when you asked him, what did he say?
Yes, my dad, man. Yeah, my dad was so good, ne? You didn't even want to go. You need to have experienced this guy. I could not even
bring yourself to ask him.
I could not even hold it against him.
Wow.
Do you understand? No, I did ask him, but I'm sure I got some answer. And
it was okay.
But you know, the one time I had cops come to my workplace because I borrowed my car, my dad. I borrowed my dad a car that I had, a second car that I had. And my dad went in and took a trailer. Right? Now, when my dad explains it, I know my dad's heart. I know there's no ways my dad would steal a trailer. I know my dad. There's no ways my dad would. But my dad was such a person, and this is how I would play it out. This is how good my dad was. This is how I'm going to play it out. Yeah. Is my dad would probably took that Mercedes Benz, saw somebody that needed it, and decided, you know what, this is no longer business.
I'm giving it to you.
This is now, with the trailer, I am sure my dad had a business set up with someone and decided not to do paperwork, trusting the other person. Oh. And this person, after breaking the whole deal, wanted to come after my dad for nothing. You know, maybe I'm naive because I always thought the best of my dad.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had cops come to my workplace and now they wanted to arrest me because of a stolen trailer. So my dad had his mistakes. Please note that. My dad had his mistakes. But he was good. He was such a good person. His heart was such... You know when they say God looks at your heart?
Yes.
His heart was at the right place. He wasn't the kind of person that wants to shine above other people. He doesn't wanna get his way the whole time. Yeah. My dad was very happy to lose an argument. He was very happy to let you win. He was very happy to humble himself. You know, and those are the things I remember. And so in answering your question, when I think about what does my daughter remember? Let's say I die today. What do I want people to say about me? You know, what do I want people from church? What do I want you guys to say about me? You know, I don't want, funny enough, I don't want people saying to me, he was intelligent. No. He was, he knew his stuff. Nah. He was great with maths. I would love people to say, yes, but Siya was good. That's what Siya, all I can remember about Siya. I can't remember him picking fights unnecessarily. I can't remember, and that's what I strive to do. I still pick fights, make no mistake. But I strive.
We know very well.
So I strive to leave this legacy, Yoguti. Above all else, I was a good person. You know, within a road rage scenario, I don't want to be the one that fought back. I want to be the one that said, I'll pray for you. You know, at work, when things go sour and people start blaming each other in the boardroom, I want to be the guy that put up his hand and said, I was at fault, let's forget about this. Please, everybody blame me so we can move on from this scenario. You know, and that's the person my dad was. He was just a good person.
Okay, that is so deep. So you, every single day, you just strive to be a good person.
Yeah.
And what would you say death has taught you or loss? What has it taught you?
I think for one, it's taught me that I'm not as strong as I think I am.
Okay. And that it's okay not to be as strong as you think you are.
Yeah.
Because once you accept that you don't have to be strong, that's how you deal with it.
Yeah. So I think the way my life panned out with leaving matric and my mother lost everything. So my dad left everything to my mother lost it. So we ended up with nothing at the end of it all. That's why I'm so scared of divorce. I don't want to divorce. I'll do anything not to divorce. But so I spent a large period of my life fending for myself and fighting for my family and earning a salary, and I got to a point where I was just numb to stuff. There was no pain for me. There was no hard work for me. There was nothing I deemed hard. There was no sleep. I mean, at some point I was working 2 jobs. At some point I was working 17 hours a day, you know, and sleep was nothing to me. And I couldn't get... So I built this strong, this false sense of strength.
Yeah.
My dad's death. You know, let me tell you, my mom was one thing. My mom passed on and I struggled with it, and I you know, my mom was my mom.
Yeah.
My dad was like the slap. Eddie, you are nothing. You think you're strong.
Yeah.
I remember me at the funeral. I would never cry in front of people. You know, I'll never, even at my mom's funeral, I was here, straight faced. I remember I was sitting just by the coffin, and its family is right there. Yeah. And I was just straight faced. Nothing. I worked so hard to keep the tears. I was just here the whole time. I was just here the whole time. I remember at the cemetery when the coffin went down. I remember tears eventually came at the cemetery, but I turned onto my father, and there again my father was there. Hey. But I remember being on my father's shoulder, and I just hid my face on my father's shoulder to say people can't see this. Yeah. You know, my dad.
You get it all out.
From the. I mean, I remember I parked when I found out about my dad's passing. I just parked at work, and it was my child's birthday, so it was the 20th of Feb, and it was Oweto's birthday, and we had plans for the weekend to go to a big birthday party. And having parked, this emotionally dumb nurse from a bar calls like she's inviting me to a birthday party. Hello, are you? Do you know Siya Motha? Yes. Oh, he's dead.
No ways.
Just like that, and drops the phone. I'm like, can't they?
Isn't there protocol?
Can't they, Mara?
Like,
you know, I don't swear, ne? But that night I thought, Mara, can't they? Like, you know, I thought. But anyway,
are they supposed to do it like that?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think that's how you're supposed to do it.
But at that point, I mean, and I just tried to relate it to my mother's death. At that point, I just couldn't stop.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop. I tried to drive and I cried. I got to the hospital and I cried. At the funeral,
you cried.
I told myself, Siya, come on.
No, but
you've cried the whole week. Come on.
Why? Just to digress. Why do you think you tell yourself not to cry, or even you talk about at your mom's, you're not trying to cry? Why do you think?
It's not me. It's not me. I don't cry. I don't know what you want to call it. Whether you call it masculinity, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't cry. That's not me. I laugh. I'm a laugher. I laugh at everything. I find a joke in anything. I laugh. I can be serious. I don't cry. I don't cry in front of people. I mean, prior to my dad's passing, I could count the years since I cried, because I just don't cry. But I just couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. I remember my and I did well. I think for half of the ceremony I did well. I kept it together. I was there. Kept it together.
Yeah.
And then my sister went and gave a speech. And my sister said, my sister said, he was such a good dad. And I thought, pull me. I thought, shut up. Just shut up. And when she said, and my sister made it even worse. I mean, my sister made it even worse. Then she comforted me. She stopped the speech, and in front of everyone, she came to comfort me. And I thought, just get on with what you're doing. I don't cry. You know? So I think one of the things it taught me is I'm not as strong as I think I am. Yeah. And I think what I'm learning, and I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Because let me be very honest with you. I'm not there yet. But I'm learning that I don't need to be strong.
You don't.
You know,
you really don't.
I don't need to be the strongest. I don't need to have all the answers, because with my dad's funeral, I was number one.
Yeah.
I was the leader. I'd always been a child in the family. Even with my mother's funeral, I remember I came and I saw my mother's body with everybody else when she came on the day before her funeral. With my dad, I washed his body.
Ouch.
I was the one washing his body. It was my policy under his name that I had to do all the organization with FPOP. I had to book terms. I had to sit in meetings to confirm. I had to put together the program. I had to, and with all of that, I just note, because for me it's easy to do that. That's what I do best. Yes. I know how to take over. Yeah. I know how to run stuff. I love that. I love being given stuff to run. So even there with the funeral arrangements, I was like, yes, I'm gonna put. It was like an operation to me. I love operations. I'm gonna put stuff together. Okay, what are the list of the things we need to do? What?
Until it sinks in.
And I remember when I went to go wash his body, I was like, when you don't know what you're gonna feel, you've never done this thing. I was like, what happens here? Okay, so, and I tried to play it out the whole week. I tried to play it out to say, because my older brother was supposed to go, but he was not having it. I was like, no, I'm not going. And I tried to play this thing out. Okay. And no, I'd never seen him passed on. Yeah. Do you understand? So what happened is, 2 days prior to him passing on, I took him to the hospital. And when the day before he passed on, I was alone with him at the hospital, and I was so frustrated. So I was trying to get him on the bed, and he was in such a bad state that he kept on falling over. He couldn't actually, and I was so shocked at black people. Nobody was helping me, and so I was there trying to get his whole body on the bed, trying to move him on the bed. He was giving me instructions. I couldn't understand his instructions because he wasn't speaking well. And then so it was just. So it was frustrating, and I remember walking away that day, because I was told to leave because I could see he was not well, but then the EPARA, they've got these cut-off times and I had to leave. And I don't know, I can't say I knew that he was going to pass on because I didn't, but I cried. Yeah. I remember walking to my car and I was just powerless. I think I'd just been so frustrated at trying. Because for weeks I tried to make a plan for my dad. I tried to get him a place to stay. My dad had nothing. I had tried to organize stuff. I tried to get him into a hospital, and I was rejected so many times. And I was so powerless walking away from him. And that's the last time I saw him. So I'd never saw him as a dead person. Yeah. And they gave us the option on the day that they called us to say he's passed on. They gave us the option to go see him at the mortuary. I couldn't. I was in such a bad state just looking at his clothes because they gave us his clothes. And I was in such a bad state just looking at his clothes that because I remember because I just played the whole thing back. I remember getting his clothes and thinking, oh my goodness, these are the clothes now I play out the moment that I try to put him on the bed. I remember holding on to these clothes. Now I've got these clothes. Now I've got his bag. So I'd never seen him dead until I went to wash his body. I had never seen a dead body at all until I had to wash his body. And I remember walking into emotionally thinking, am I gonna run? I didn't actually know. I didn't know what I was gonna feel. Am I gonna run for my life? I've never seen a dead body. Does he smell? Is he cold? Is he warm? Is he gonna open his eyes? Is he gonna come back to life? Maybe my dad is gonna come back to life. I don't know what. And I remember walking in there, and I was, anyway, I'm going on and on now. I don't even remember what question you asked me.
I was asking, what has death taught you?
So it taught me that I'm not strong. Yes. That's a big one. It taught me that I need to accept that I must work with my weaknesses. It's that I'm going to break down. I'm going to cry. Yes. I mean, I cried. It's okay. I cried so many times after that. I would cry. My boss at work would mistreat me.
Is it your boss? Or is it your dad? Who knows?
I started crying for no reason.
So maybe you're now in touch with your tears. And that's what you need to, because I think there's a huge misconception about crying, and I think we need to cry. I think it's necessary. I think you're allowed to cry after a day's hard work.
Yes.
You're allowed.
And I think another...
Even if you're a guy, you're allowed to cry. Even if your boss shouts at you, don't use it as an excuse to blame your dad.
Can I tell you, I think a week after my dad passed on, or 2 weeks, I went to a complex, a center, to Checkers to go buy food. So I didn't know this. That was my first time. So I saw this new Checkers that I'd never seen. So I went into the Checkers, but I didn't know that it was a one-way. Oh. So I was driving the opposite direction, and this guy shouted at me.
You started crying.
I mean, Marawan, I don't even have a father.
Are you going to be mean?
I'm an orphan. I cried for nothing. I'm telling you. I remember when I came back to church for the first time at Rhema, and I remember we had watched Creflo Dollar with my dad, and it's the seats. He sat on these seats, and I just started crying. I think another thing that taught me was that it got me questioning my relationship with Christ. I know these answers are not the best answers I'm giving as a Christian, right? But I'm just being honest here. It got me questioning my relationship with Christ. I was like, when you talk to God, like, is your next door neighbor. Like, you know, and I had to have some tough conversations with God. I just could not understand. It got me questioning if I believe in heaven.
Okay.
Because let me be honest with you. Because I thought, why would I be so sad and why would I cry so much?
You know you're going to meet him again.
And if he's in a better place. I saw how my dad suffered.
Yeah.
We were told about my dad's chronic condition 10 years before.
Yeah.
So in 2010 or 2009, we had already known that our dad has a chronic condition. In fact, our dad got so sick in 2009 that he said goodbye. He called the whole family and he said goodbye to all of us. That's how sick he was.
It's been a good run.
You know,
thank you.
And it was a miracle. It was an absolute miracle that he lived for 10 years. But even there, I thought, God, when another heaven, no. You know, so it got me really questioning, and I think I had to fight. So, I mean, you would know, as part of the service team, is after my dad passed on, that's when I came back and I started serving.
Yeah.
I had not served for, I think, a year, because my child got born and there were a whole lot of life events. But I got so scared around my relationship with God and me backsliding and me going into a point where I actually didn't believe in God at all, that I thought, let me just come back and serve. Let me just be around Christians again. Let me just get back into the church.
Community going.
Yeah, because at the rate that I was, I questioned God so much that I thought, I stopped praying. I stopped reading the word. I stopped communicating with God completely. I would do stuff which would make me feel guilty before, you know. And I thought...
And you'd feel nothing.
I feel nothing. I was like, you want me to... Now you're in your tata. My tata. You know how to take my dad. So I don't care.
Better, yeah.
Let's see, don't tell me. I feel, you know, when you feel that conviction, the Holy Spirit, I'll say, shut up. Holy Spirit. Shut up. Still small of a shut up. You know? And I think it got me questioning my walk with God. Yeah. You know, it was a wake up call to me to say, you know, have I started trusting more in what God has given me than Him? Yeah. Because my God gave me my dad. Mm-hmm. My dad is not God. Yeah. And so have I put my father above God? You know, and I had to look at my life as a whole to say, have I put my wife? Because that's the next thing I think now. God.
You'll be trying you there.
I said, God.
Don't you dare.
Don't touch my wife. Don't touch my wife. Oh, wait, at least. No, don't touch my wife. I said, God, whatever happens. That's the next one I think you've outdone yourself with my dad. Yeah. Leave my wife alone. If you take my wife, I'm sorry. Okay. What next for me?
It's going to be you and I in that ring.
You understand? Yeah. But it taught me that, Uguti, I've started putting people, I've started putting things, I've started putting job, I've started putting other things above God, and I had to just reflect. And I'm still on that journey. I must be honest with you. Yeah. I'm still on that journey where I'm back to reading the word. I'm back to praying. You know, I'm back to communicating with God. Yeah. And it's better. I'm on a journey. I'm not there yet. It's better, but it taught me that. Yeah. I mean, I've already mentioned around the stuff around legacy, to say you're not here forever. It taught me that I need to be responsible. Yeah. My dad didn't leave nothing. You know, some people's parents die and it's showtime.
Trust fund babies.
They start businesses.
They start living it up.
My dad left me with love.
That's
buckets and buckets.
More. That's whether or not you're eating love, that's a story for another day. You have the love.
If I could trade in love, if it was a currency, I would be rich. But my dad left me with love, a couple of jeans, I think 3 shirts. So it taught me, Uguti, you know what? I gotta get my finances in order. I gotta. Oh wait, and my newborn child. I don't have a name for you yet, but not my newborn. She's not born yet, but in June she'll be born. I need to have a plan for them. I need to leave stuff for them. Yeah. They must at least cry. You know,
wiping their tears with dollar bills.
Exactly, you know. Yeah, so it mustn't be a matter of. I mean, with my dad, I still had to go with the funeral, take from my own money. take from my savings. It was just an ugly thing.
My mom always says, make sure you guys have funeral policies because we don't want to struggle when you die. And I'm always like, but that's none of my problem if I'm dead though. But I hear what you're saying. We need to be very responsible.
Okay,
so thank you for sharing. Any parting words for anyone who's going through loss, someone who's experienced loss? What would you like to leave with them?
I think be fair to yourself.
Okay.
Don't beat yourself up so much. Okay. I think I, as a Christian, as much as I would speak to God the way I wanted and I had this anger towards God, I was also beating myself up to say, Aman, you can't do this.
Yeah.
You can't speak to God this way. You can't. And I both with my mom and my dad, I thought, like with my dad, I thought I should have taken him to a private hospital. He should have been on my medical aid. Why did I take him to a bar? Do you understand? My dad actually ran my business. So I had a vegetable market and my dad ran it for me. And I think this made it worse because I literally spoke to my dad every day. You got to understand, we spoke twice a day. It was a must because we were running the business together. So he was running it and I was basically contributing the funds, putting the funds into the card that he used to purchase with the market and stuff. And every single day, I still have recordings of our conversations, and I don't know why I do that to myself. I listen to those conversations and I'm thinking, why do I do?
That's part of the journey. That's part of healing.
Yeah.
So no matter how you deal with it, maybe that's why you were recording them for a time such as this.
No. I was using the work phone, so the calls are recorded.
Well,
yeah. Okay.
You can work with me here.
Yes. Okay.
Work with me here.
So with where was I now? Okay, yeah. So we did the business together, and my guilt was, did me pushing him business wise cause him body wise to fail? Yeah. The fact that he woke up so early to run the business, he slept so late to run the business, all for my benefit. And with his body deteriorating, and my father just didn't listen. Even when he started to deteriorate, and we said to him, "Relax, no," and he would tell me, "If you stop me from working, you really want to kill me. This is where you really want to kill me. If you're saying I must sit home and do nothing." So I had questions about that. Did I actually kill my dad? Did the stuff I did, the way I pushed him, work-wise, did and same thing with my mom, as I've shared with you. So I think the best advice I would give is don't beat yourself up. The person was gonna die anyway.
This one preacher actually said last year at my brother's funeral, he said, there are people that get diagnosed with like chronic diseases, and when you look at them, you're like, tomorrow you're dying, and they still manage to come back from that. And then there are people that have a headache, or like just they collapse, and then you don't know what's wrong with them. They were healthy, and then they pass away. Basically saying, when it's time, it's time. There's absolutely nothing.
We beat ourselves up so much around God's plans. Like, we've got power over it. Like, if I drove...
We need to check ourselves. We're not God.
Exactly.
We need to check ourselves.
Like, I could have saved my dad's life, and I could have saved my mother's life if I drove fast enough to a house. It would have happened. So don't beat yourself up. Don't be who you feel at that point. God understands.
Yeah.
When you've lost someone, and you want to vent, and you want to cry, and you want to talk to him the way you want to talk to him, that is not an emotionally dumb God.
Yeah.
He understands.
He knows.
And so don't beat yourself up so much, because sometimes as Christians, we want to be so perfect and,
oh my gosh, I can't say that. That's God.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Another lesson is, death is not the end. It's not the be-all, end-all. There's life after death. Not, and I'm not talking about spiritually, eternally. I'm talking about for the person that's lost. Is that your life doesn't stop at death. Death is like a pothole that you ought to get around. Death does not stop you from doing well in your career. Death does not stop you from finding happiness. Death does not stop you from being a good father. Death does not stop you from serving a church. Death is not it. You don't stop at death. And I've seen too many people lose someone and they come back to work and act as though we contributed to the death, and they start fighting everybody in the office, and in the process they cut short their career because you get fired for that kind of thing. Do you understand? I've seen people that stop serving because of death. They stop serving God completely. I've seen people that just stop living because of death. And death is not the end all be all. You can still make a success of this life. I'm still studying. I'm still, and I know that those moments are gonna come when I graduate and my dad is not there.
And you're gonna cry.
And I'm gonna. I know.
And it's also okay.
Yes, but it's not the end. Death is not the end of it all. We go on, we move on, and yeah. So yeah, that's the lessons or that's the message I'd have for.
That is powerful. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Healing. I wish you all the best.
Yeah. Every day.
That you are on.
Every day, one step at a time.